Hey everyone, welcome back to the Strike a Spark podcast. Today I am here with Ray, and we have a very special guest. He is a multi-hyphenate who literally does like everything and anything creative, and is just always like booked and busy and constantly thriving on social media with his amazing artwork, from graphic design to creative directing, acting, singing, and producing the ever so amazing Sunset Drive podcast. Today's guest is Anthony Smith.
Hey. Hello. Thank you. Can you repeat that to my parents who still think I'm a disappointment? Please.
Oh, goodness. No, seriously. I found you through your podcast. I got recommended the Savannah highlights, like way back when you started. And so like I've been just seeing since then, and I kept recommending me more of your stuff on different platforms. I'm like, whoa, this dude is so talented.
Thank you. That means a lot to me because Savannah's episode was the first episode that I hosted, and was also I was thrown into the lion's den with that episode because I had a host in the first episode, and then that didn't work out, and then I was like, Savannah's team was just like, we want to do it. Can you do tomorrow? And I was like, sure, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
and then I texted my Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say, like, I texted all my friends, and I was just like, who wants to host this? I can't, like, get the pressure off of me. And then I had to do it, and then I feel like that resonated with people more, so I just kept doing it, and it's been really cool.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
amazing. So it's like something that you... This is like, oh, man, virtual stuff is great.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, so it's like something that you kind of got thrown into then.
Oh, absolutely. I was like, this could be a behind-the-scenes thing. Nobody's going to know who I am. I'm just going to do the tech stuff behind it. And next thing happens, it's not what happened. So it's very much now like I am Sunset Drive. Like it's like a part of me. So it's been great.
That's amazing.
No, it definitely, like, I remember back when you did have that episode with a co-host, like, when I was first thinking about starting my own podcast, I was like, I am not as entertaining as him or anyone else I watch his podcast, so I need a team behind me.
Oh my God. But honestly, that's the thing. Like, when you think you're not interesting, like, I don't think I'm interesting whatsoever. And I just think, like, we all have our uniqueness, and there's a relatability to all of us that I think, like, even if you think you're not interesting, like, some person might be like, hey, I really resonated to what you said about this and how you phrased this and your self-deprecating jokes, like, I relate. So, you know, it all comes back to that, and it can be really surprising what people gravitate towards, too. And that's just the internet, you know?
Yeah, the whole reason that I called Ray is his voice.
Oh, he has a nice voice. Yes.
Because the first time we ever met, someone was like, he needs to be on a podcast. And I'm like, okay, first person we need to call. Right.
Here we are.
Here we
are. I made it. Mama made it.
So the first thing we normally do on our podcast is also a little mental health check-in. So how's everyone doing today?
You guys want to go ahead? Oh, yeah, I forgot I'm the guest. I'm doing... Yeah, flipping, totally. I'm doing great, you know. It's definitely very hot here, so I'm kind of sweating all the time, but it's been really great. I have a lot of projects going on right now. I'm a little bit tired and exhausted, but, like, in the best way possible. You know, like, because you're, like, exhausted, but you're running on the fumes of just, like, wanting to put stuff on their feet, and it's been really, really nice. So, you know, I'm working on merchandise for some people. We're launching music career for another person, and it's just, like, so much is happening, but in the best, most creative way possible. What about you guys?
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Right now, for us, or at least for me, I say for us, but, like, we're this podcast is fun for the first part, for the first. I can't speak right now. First and foremost, this podcast is great. I've like, oh my God, yeah. Personally, it's been really good. I've been getting a lot of traction with things that I've been doing recently. Nice. I don't know if I can say this, but I think I can. I'm doing like a thing with EA, the game development company, next month.
Oh, cool.
So I'm starting like a networking mentorship with them, and I don't know how that's going to go over, but we'll see how that goes. Because for me personally, like, I really like game development and game design and all that stuff. So that's kind of my lane in the multi-hyphenate world. But yeah, like, personally, like, project-wise, everything's been going amazingly. Mentally, life has been fantastic, the best it's been in years, and life is good.
Nice. What we'd like to hear.
My mental health, today, this was just a nightmare waking up because my alarm decided not to go off, and then my Wi-Fi was just out, and I was just like, oh, okay, so we're going to give me a panic attack to wake up. Love that. But after dealing with that, I just got an email about one of the projects I'm working on. Ray knows a little bit. I don't really tell him too much about this. But I'm working on, developing a TV show, and we pitched to someone, and we might be getting another meeting. So we're scheduling right now, and I just got an email about scheduling it, so...
You know what? When you're developing something, the email about let's have a second meeting is just as good as you just got picked up. It's just as good.
Especially it's a streamer too, so I'm kind of like, oh my god. Ooh. So trying to book that. Been a year.
Crossing all our fingers for you.
Mm-hmm. So very excited about that. But so that definitely just helped as well with the podcast getting to do this episode. So mental health is realigning from 5 minutes ago's meltdown.
Yeah, it's recovering for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The fluctuation is real.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we thought we'd then do something fun because you do so much that when we were coming up with what we wanted to talk about, we just couldn't decide because you do just everything.
And
I get it because you're good at everything. So, why wouldn't you? Okay. So, are you up for a little rapid fire questions?
Yes. Hit put it on me. I'm ready.
Okay, so we got 9 questions and we're gonna set a timer for 3 minutes. And see what we can get through. So just the first thing that comes to mind, or it's kind of some of them are this or that, or just name a quick little thing.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, timer's ready whenever you're gonna start.
Okay, just give me a 3, 2, 1, and before you press go, and then I'll rapid fire them.
3, 2, 1, go.
Favorite project you worked on during the pandemic?
A cartoon show that I can't say anything about.
A Broadway show you'd bring back if you could.
Oh my god, Waitress.
Oh yeah. Podcasts that have inspired Sunset Drive.
Wild Till 9 by Lauren DIY and Jeremy.
Yes. Build a brand with someone or do a one-off design project for them.
Ooh, build a brand. Come on, build a bear, build a brand.
Okay. Someone you wish would release original or new music.
Ooh, Julia Lester from High School Musical, the musical, the series.
Yes. TV show you'd love to guest star on.
High School Musical, the series.
3 guests that you were surprised you got a yes for the podcast.
Oh my god, all of them. Owen Joyner would be a really big one. Meg Donnelly is also a really big one that I was surprised. Kenny Ortega, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yes. When I got the
I was just
announcement.
watching that one.
Dang. And then last one, any dream collabs you want to put out into the universe?
Ooh, if Zendaya ever wants to do anything, call me.
Yes.
I'll work for free. I'll work for the crumbs that falls off her stiletto heels. I swear.
Oh
I'm putting that one out there too. I want her in the lead of my show.
Yeah.
Goodness. I've done her laundry.
No, I totally agree with you on Wild Till 9. That's my Tuesday every time. Have to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday's episode, so much tea was spilled. Oh my goodness.
I know. So Wild Till 9, to everybody who doesn't know what it is, it's a sit down, off the cuff, kind of rough around the edge podcast with Lauren DIY and her boyfriend Jeremy, and they have this really unlikely duo kind of vibe, because they're both from very different spaces on the internet and whatever, and they have these guests on, and it just feels so casual and so authentic to them, and it's a really, really, really good podcast. If you are okay with cussing and really rugged and dirty subjects,
they talk about any
you.
And everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's really hilarious to see her go from Lore DIY to this new truer version of herself. But I've honestly loved getting to see it and have these organic conversations. Oh, we've grown up with her now.
Oh yeah, so. I love her even more now than I've ever did, because she feels so unfiltered, and she seems a lot more comfortable about what she's saying. She doesn't have a filter anymore. She's just great. Would love to work with her too in the future.
I feel like that's such a good thing about social media and just entertainment in general for this kind of space. Not more so, I guess you can call mainstream media, but more so what this is you can really, it feels more authentic. You can grow up with those people, like you were saying, and it's it feels so more you're kind of I'm a part of this more than it's oh yeah, I'm a passive watcher of this, because it feels oh yeah, I remember when she did this, and this is a real authentic person that
Oh yeah.
did all these things, and it's so cool to have that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And like I naturally gravitate towards creators who started doing YouTube before it was a profitable endeavor.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
so many people did YouTube before you could even make money off of it, and I think those people were really driven by the need and want to make content. And then when it became a profitable endeavor, you had this wave of people who was just like, how can I profit off of this platform too? And I think that's where the community started getting a little sour, was because it was getting tainted. Like, you know, even the merchandise industry, which I design merch a lot, you know, it started booming when Team 10 started going on YouTube because they would make content that was not illegible. I don't know. Eligible.
Eligible, I think, right?
Eligible, yeah. For monetization, because they would do such crazy stuff on their platform. So they're like, how can we make money? Merchandise. And that's when YouTube started demonetizing stuff left and right. You know, their income was getting messed with. That's when that started booming. So I don't know. Like, I loved YouTube before it was like tainted with a bunch of like dudes with mop heads and like earrings.
Especially
I remember when
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I remember like when the big thing that people used to do all the time were books. I mean, now they still do them, but like I feel like books popped off way before they did merchandise, like T-shirts and mugs and all that stuff, and it was so cool seeing that happen.
I love the books. I've never read any.
I've read a couple, actually.
Same.
I've got The Hunter Marches 51 with all the YouTubers' stories in it, and then I have How to Be a Boss by Lily Singh, because of course.
I read that one.
Yeah, that was really good. No, I was going to say, the Team 10 thing reminded me, there was a girl on TikTok found out they never paid their trademarks because they're Team 10, and they think they can get away with everything. And she tried to buy it all off of them so she could, like, sell their merch, make money off them, and they couldn't do a thing. So I'm curious if she could finish the process. Because she, like, filed all the paperwork and stuff.
Honestly, make your coin.
Like, people were like, I don't like Team 10, but I support her. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like I said, crazy stuff. The books you mentioned are really cool. Like, you know, there's some books that make total sense and others that I was like, what do you mean? Like Lily made sense. The Try Guys, The Hidden Art of Fucking Up was also a really nice read.
I started that audiobook.
Yeah, so love that.
Absolutely.
And so kind of just talking about, like, going into different paths and everything, and you mentioned in the rapid fire, like, kind of how you were surprised that you got a lot of the guests from Disney.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with Disney Plus for the press junket for the most recent leg of your podcast for the High School Musical, the musical, the series?
Honestly, this whole podcast run was so detrimental to my mental health. This in the nicest way possible. No, honestly, I don't know. I finished Julie and the Phantoms, and, you know, Sunset Drive was kind of a podcast where I started it. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it past episode 5, right? So now we're at episode 20. So it's been, like, a whirlwind. I just didn't know, like, once you get off of, like, Julie and the Phantoms, will I lose all my listeners? Like, what's going to happen? And I wanted to find the next big thing that made sense after Julie and the Phantoms, and High School Musical was such, like, an obvious choice. And I genuinely really love this show, like, in terms of, like, musical and, like, talent, and I don't shy away from saying I'm such a theater nerd. So, like, this show definitely embodies all that I am. And so I think back in, like, February, like, months before the release, before trailers were even out of High School Musical, I reached out to Disney and I was like, I want to do this podcast run. And then it was kind of thing where, like, we can start booking people for you. So I did Larry in March, 2 months before the premiere.
Oh, wow.
And then they added me to the press junket, which was such a wild, like, I keep talking about this when we do the live chats on the new episodes. I'm just like, you have no idea how stressed I was that day, because, like, they gave me, I filmed Larry in March and then Julia a week before the press junket. Those were amazing because it was, like, my normal format of how I do these episodes. And then with the press junket, they were just kind of like, it's going to be on Zoom. It's going to be, like, press junket style, and you're going to have 30 to 45 minutes with each one of them, which is, like, almost half the time that I usually take with each cast member.
Right.
So you're thrown into it, and you're just like, you're going to have 30 minutes before each interview. And I remember I did Frankie's, and it was, like, so stressful because we were so into it, and then you get a text that's like, you have 2 minutes left, and I'm like, oh God. Like, I was like, I don't. And then, like, I panicked, right? And then the episode's over, and then like I'm like recollecting my thoughts, and the suit. Like, by the way, Disney people like amazing, but they're making sure they're getting their time, and they're
it's a well-oiled machine.
I can imagine, yeah.
Oh yeah, and some of these guys are like very young, like they're sitting on their chairs for like in the morning to late in the evening. So I was like, okay. So the episode's over, and then she's like, all right, so I'm gonna put you through with Dara, and I was just like, I haven't recuperated from whatever happened right now. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then they switch you into a room, and then like I love to like match people's vibes. And so it was such a mind like boggling thing, because I was switching to another person. I was like, ooh, different energy. How do I match that a little bit?
Yeah.
And then like finished Dara's episode, and I was like, they were like, okay, right, you're gonna have like 45 minutes, like a break. And I was like, oh, nice. Like I can change, I can drink water. All right, he's actually ready right now. You're gonna have to buzz me. I was like, oh, like I was just like, no.
Oh no.
It's crazy. And then Matt was again booked through his team, and that was fun as well. During the interview, he had to get COVID tested because he was filming zombies. It was like the best thing ever, and right now I'm actively working on getting some more of the cast members. But that's been hard too, because it's summer and they're out doing things, and traveling's okay now, so it's a whole thing. But I'm always surprised people want to come on the podcast, because one, podcasts are definitely a new form of like media. They were so like underground years ago, and now they're coming back because I think people want that in their car, of kind of unplugging and just listening to people like have a conversation. And so and it's hard, because sometimes you're just like, I don't have 100,000 followers. Like, I'm not like First We Feast with like hot ones. Like, I'm not like in that space. They're awesome and they deserve it, but I'm not there yet. Manifesting. So so it's just always surprising that some people are like, I'm gonna take my client and take time out of their day. I've always been an avid thinker that when somebody like, if you give me your time, like I'll be forever grateful to you, and if you give me your friendship, like, oh my god, I'll cherish that friendship.
Words
and so
to live by.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I said it on another podcast, and then people made a quote out of it, and I was like, it is very poetic.
Was that on Girl
isn't
Stuff?
It? Yes.
Yeah.
Girl Stuff podcast. And so when people say like, I'm going to take an hour out of my life, where they could literally be doing anything, sleeping, eating, so many things that I would rather do than talk to myself, to be quite honest. And, they take that time. I'm like, amen to you. You're amazing.
Absolutely. I feel like it's such a blessing, because I feel like there's so many different, like you were saying, so many different things that we could be doing, and it's like, it's nice when you can collaborate with somebody on something like this, and it feels good to know that, like, it's kind of validating to know that, okay, yeah, like this can happen, it's not like I'm just throwing it out there and it's just going to land flat on its face. It's like, okay, this is really nice that this is something that you can do. It's really nice.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And especially like with the Matt Cornett episode, I remember he threw it over to Erica, who I think is the newest member of the Sunset Drive team. Like, for those who, I think I found her through TikTok, actually, her stuff. And it was just, I think that was my favorite part of the podcast, where she just was like pulling the drawstrings close, like freaking out, and then he was
Yeah. I remember that whole thing was so funny, because Erica was basically helping me during the press junket, High School Musical, because I couldn't keep up with the editing with all of that. And when Matt was just like, oh, you can just cut this out, I was just like, oh, Erica's gonna cut it out. And that became a running gag. And as soon as I wrapped the episode, I told Erica, I was like, you have to film your reactions every time he like calls on to you. And she sent me like a bunch of different reactions, because she's an actress, right? So she sent me a bunch of reactions to it, and I was like, this is the funniest thing ever. It feels like iCarly, and I like live for it.
Oh my god, that's what it was. I'm like, this feels so familiar, and I love it. Like, no, that was so funny. And so what's it like now having like more people helping you with the thing, like kind of growing to the next phase of Sunset Drive?
Yeah, I mean, it's such like a weird, I had a very sour taste in my mouth from like collaborating in the first place, not because of like anything with my host at the time, just because like I'm such a hard worker, and I know how like I want things to come out, and I know how I want to present myself. Like, even if we don't have like the numbers and the 100,000 of subscribers, I really want our content to reflect like professionalism, as if we had like a whole team behind it. And so when High School Musical, the podcast that came out, I was like, oh, that's like episodes weekly, sometimes 2 episodes a week. I have a job. I have other projects going on. I can't just like sit on my computer all week. And so we had Erica join for that portion. Like I think she worked with us for like 2 months on all these episodes. But that's been like really great. It's been like super fun to have somebody on and watch these episodes with me. Like Erica, we would jump on Zoom and like rewatch them and just like laugh at the episodes so much. And like we know what we cut out and we're just like, oh my God, it looks so seamless. Like you can't tell. So that's been really fun. But I think like for now, like until I can't keep up anymore, like it's definitely going to be like a one-man show because like I said, I live in Canada. Like doing stuff online sometimes is really hard, especially with editing. Like throwing one editing file to someone else is like crazy. But no, I love having people on join for like little portions. Like I'm planning on having maybe like a social media manager for like a month or two just to sense that out, feel that out. But like I've mentioned so many times, like every dime that I've ever made from the podcast has been reinvested in the podcast. And so do I have the means to pay employees like right now? Not anymore. Reinvested all in the equipment and the lights and the everything. So but no, it's been super great. Like Erica has been super fun to work with, and it's been great having people on because it just feels like you're inviting people over for like a little while, and it's just like, oh my God, like you get to like see all the behind the scenes of how these happen.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. I mean, it's like we were talking about before, like having a team and all of that stuff. It's like it feels more real when you have other people with you, and it's such a good feeling to know that your vision is not just, I mean, it's yours, but like you can actually give it life. Just recently because I'm currently in college right now.
Yes,
and it's so great. I love it. I graduated high school 10 years ago, and I came back, and it's great because I'm trying to change everything, and it's great.
Nothing is too late. Nothing's ever too late.
Exactly. What was I saying? I was talking about we were doing transmedia. We're doing transmedia, and we were talking about building life to a story, and in the same sense of just like bringing people on to something that is your creation. It's interesting to give it, like I was saying, give it life because you have a thought baby, and then you birth that thought baby, and then it exists in the world, and then other people can see it, and then other people actually know it exists, and then they can actually collaborate and help you with it. And it's so amazing. Like this podcast right now, like this is Rachel's baby, and all of us have come together and made it real, and it's so cool to have stuff like that happen.
Yeah, it definitely was intimidating, though, letting, like, people work on it. Because we actually had originally a couple more people helping us, but one of them had to cut the losses on. It was just complete disagreements. But
things happen for sure like that.
But it was just, it was definitely scary. Yeah.
That's going to happen. I mean, with a podcast, like, that's definitely going to happen. With any type of creative project, that's going to happen. Sometimes visions don't align. Sometimes, like, but like you wish you the best, you know what I mean, kind of thing. Like when I had to like go of my host, like I was like, I wish you so much success, but like this is just not the platform where we can both thrive. So like let's reevaluate. And even with Erica too, like we were going like towards the end, and I was just like, okay, we're not in a podcast, like we don't have like 6 episodes in the bank to edit anymore. So I was like, you can kind of like, this is it. And she was like, oh my God, like that's okay. Like we ended on like somewhat good terms, but like it was just like, oh my God, like go ahead. And like she has like so much acting stuff going on, so I'm just like, you do you. Like honestly,
She's gonna be on Netflix someday.
Oh hell yeah, she is. She's super talented, so it's just really fun to like bring people into your little project, and then they get to go their own way, but they have that little part of the podcast that follows them wherever they go. So that's been really cool.
There's something like with all of that, it's a lot of pressure. I feel like I say when having a team and having all these collaborative ideas. So in the next question, it's like, is there a lot of pressure to maintain your quality and consistency? And is that something that you bring on yourself, or is that something because you have people relying on you? Like you have fans that are watching and they're making sure that something's out. Like how do you maintain your composure when you're creating all of this content?
I don't. I don't. It's a crazy thing because I not only need to prove myself to the people who watch, I also need to prove myself to myself, and I need to prove myself to my parents. and also the clients and collaborators that I have, like graphic design wise. And it's always like the pressure that comes with it, because like if you look at my week, right, like not only do I have to look up new talent to come on the podcast, I have to book the one that's going to come after that, and then I have to edit all of the episodes, which requires a lot of time, a lot of patience, and then obviously you know, okay, did you submit stuff for merchandise and the branding of this person? And I get emails like at 10 p.m. like, did you do this today? And I need to always, you know, I want to up myself every time as well. Like, I don't know, because I'm Canadian and I want to move to LA, and that's always been kind of the plan. I feel like I also need to prove it to myself, and I also need to prove it to the industry, because once you move there on like any type of visa, you need to have people back up your references and be like, he's worth the green card or whatever to move to the country. So all of that together, it's a lot of pressure, and I would be totally lying if I didn't have like complete meltdowns when like sometimes I think my week is gonna go one way, and then like cancellations and this project wasn't approved, and I'm up until 3-4 a.m. trying to like find a solution that my clients will like, and that's been like super crazy. And I'm also like friends with a lot of the people that I work with, so it also comes with the pressure of being a good friend, not only being a good business partner. Like for example, Colleen, she had a miscarriage at the beginning of the year when we started working on a project.
That was
how do you reach out to somebody going through that and be like, we actually have to work on this? You don't, you know, you need to let them breathe and let them live and heal. And then she got pregnant, not with one baby, with twins. And then it's kind of like, I'm trying, like I'm trying to get this. Like the merch collection that's coming out on Friday, we've been working on it since January. So it's also that pressure of also like proving myself that I can be a good friend and a business partner and level things out. So it's the pressure of popping out good episodes, always guests that people might think my listeners will like hearing from, working on animation stuff, working on branding stuff, all the while keeping my cool. And I also have like a waiter job at the same time to, you know, so it's just like a lot of pressure. But I think the pressure is good because it pushes me to always go above and beyond on every project, and I think in the long run that's going to benefit me in some capacity, I hope. Otherwise, well, screw me, you know what I mean? But
that's very important, I feel like, because if you have, we were just talking with somebody, was it 2 episodes ago, where Etienne, he runs something called Webwork, and what it is, it's like a one-stop shop for like industry service needs. So like if you need catering, security,
everything for live events.
Everything for live events.
I like that.
It's really awesome. And he was saying it's always nice to have multiple plates spinning, because you can have like you have to know what you're doing, because if you're in a position where you need somebody and you should, you know. And it's very important to do that, because I feel like in this industry especially, so many people that you see, like you often see like directors, like Leonardo DiCaprio is directing and producing, and he's also doing a lot of environmental stuff. There are so many other people out there that are like producing and directing and acting in their own projects. I feel like it's almost become something that I shouldn't say necessary, but kind of is necessary to be able to be multi-hyphenate. And it's very it's interesting, you know, because like social media, mainstream stuff, all of it, I feel like is multi-hyphenates doing one thing, but at the same time kind of doing everything.
Right.
So
right.
And,
no, but
sorry, go ahead.
We keep running to the no, you're definitely speaking my language. So like with the 4 a.m.s, working with friends, it's just, it can get messy trying to balance everything and like do it right. Just so, I feel that. And
yeah,
so,
but
like,
I will never be ungrateful for it though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
for
like,
sure.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like sometimes my dad works out at like 4 a.m. and sometimes like he goes downstairs and he's like, "You're still awake?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Give me 30 minutes. I'll go to sleep in 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes." And he's like, "Anthony, shut it down." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand." But you know, I'm super grateful for it, and I don't know. I just think like Tori said this on our first episode. She said there's power in versatility, and I totally agree. Because I know how to edit, host, network, all of those things. I'm not like I can run a whole podcast by myself, as if other people would need to hire people to do some stuff. So I think there's power in versatility, especially in the world that we're going in now. Like I think the more you can do, the better you're off. So definitely.
But with being able to do it all, like how often do you have to say no to things? for your own
I
sanity.
never say no to things.
Oh,
Really?
no.
It's a struggle that I have. I'm also like a big people pleaser, so I have a hard time saying no to things. But I'm also like 21. I started doing this when I was 17, and I left school and I knew that I had to prove something to myself and to my parents. I have brown parents, right? So like the thought of like dropping off of school and just trying to do stuff but like unconventionally is really hard for them. So I don't know, I'm just in the mindset that right now I'm paying my dues, and once I get to a point where I will have proven myself enough that I can say no to things, that's when I'll know that I'm golden, you know what I mean? But right now I'm young enough to not crash at like 2-3 a.m. so like I can definitely get the work done.
I've had to start putting my foot down for sanity, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the first like time I just let someone go with that was actually this project, and I was just like, I don't want to tell them no, but we can't do this anymore. And it was just like it was a struggle because I wanted to please everyone on the team, but I was just like, we have to prioritize this for once. And so it's scary, but also I feel like my age is definitely just like, even though I'm 21, I feel like I'm in the body of like a 40-year-old sometimes, my back and just being tired all the time.
Me. Yeah, for sure.
No, you're talking about like having brown parents. Like I obviously, of course, I'm a black man, and so I guess for the audio listeners,
yeah.
For those who don't know, I am black. No, I remember I was having a conversation with my grandparents one day, and when I first moved out to LA, or not even when I first moved out to LA, maybe like a year or so before, I was having a conversation with my parents and my grandparents, and I was talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna do acting, I'm gonna do all this stuff. And the look that my grandparents gave me, they're like, "Are you sure?" Because like I just did college at my local college, Bakersfield College. I'm giving away where I came from, and it was, I didn't really care for like, because I did music and I was like, okay, this is cool, but then I was like, I kind of want to go ahead and do acting, and they're like, "Are you sure you don't want to like go get a real degree?" And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And so came out to LA, got an agent, I acted in a couple things, and then I was like, I don't like this anymore. And I started just working full time. And then just recently, a year ago, I decided to go back to college. And it's just kind of funny how it all came full circle. But it's not that I'm going and getting like I'm doing this because it's a creative, like it's a communications degree, but like it's so useful for my field, right? Because I decided to change up and do like video game stuff and editing and producing and all that stuff, so it's very useful. And it's not like it's just more backing for the things that I want to do. And it doesn't feel like I gave up, because it's such a useful tool in my belt to have. And I feel like it was like, I kind of like, okay, it feels kind of weird that I told my grandparents, like, oh no, I'm not gonna get a degree, I'm not gonna do all this, and then I came back, I'm like, hey, you were right a little bit.
It's definitely not a traditional degree,
at least
though.
you sought it through. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like with my parents, I don't know if I feel like we should talk about it, because like
Go for it.
I feel like a lot of people feel alone when they go into stuff like that. When I told my parents I'm gonna drop out of school, they were like, huh, because I was like the straight A student in my family kind of situation. Yeah, so my parents were like,
it's a scary conversation.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. And my dad didn't finish college, so to him it was like, what the hell are you doing? And then I was like, I'm gonna take a 1 year off, figure out what I want to do. If not, I'm gonna go in psychology or business. And then things started picking up, and I just never went back to school. And now it's like the whole LA conversation. Like I've been wanting to move and been like this close to move like for like 3 years. And it's always getting pushed back, obviously, because a pandemic, visas, stuff, applications and stuff. It's always complicated. But they give me this speech now of like, go. And I'm like, do you really want me to go? Or are you just like wanting for me to like fall flat on my face and so I can come back and like cry? So like that's what I'm going through right now. And that's what I mean by like, it's so funny whenever I do these like podcast interviews or even like magazine or article interviews, my dad just says like, make sure to mention you didn't finish school. And I'm like, What does that mean? Like, I don't, like, what? So, that's
it means you were, like, able to pull it off without that traditional way. Like, I've had that conversation with my parents, too, like, and my parents are very blunt. They're Scottish. Like, I'm actually Scottish, so, like, I get the whole immigration situation.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, so I actually went for music. I was opposite of Ray. I did acting, and then I went into music, and then went to school, and I'm like, I don't like this anymore. I don't want to do this every day. I can't do this every day. And so I was like, I'm gonna drop out. And that was the scariest decision of my life, because I was also, like, always, like, on the top of the grades and, like, everything.
Right.
And so I was just like, okay, I have enough credits for my associates. I'm not just dropping out with nothing. I have, like, at least a half kind of degree. And so, like, here's my plan. And then I ended up deciding to go back to school, and I got the opportunity for this degree program that Ray was in, because that's how we met, was through media communications. But it's, like, a bit of everything media related. So it's really like a Swiss Army knife of, like, strengthening your tools you already knew. So, like, that was the only reason I went back. But I was, like, full-blown dropped out, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to figure it out as we go. Like,
yeah, and we live, like, our parents were, like, out of, like, they were out of their parents' house at 20, you know, and all that stuff. And then, like, my parents are just like, when are you moving out? And I'm like, have you seen the rents now? Have you seen the cost of building stuff and everything? There's no way I'm going to be able to, like, just like, okay, cute, moving out. What is that? Like, I don't know.
It's like, how many roommates would it even take to get somewhere like in LA or Austin? It's like, just rent is not existent.
It's just not and, you know, I found a cute apartment in LA that the rent, I was like, I'll manage. And then you think about it, I'm like, I'm not going to live at all. I'm going to be, like, eating in every night. And, you know,
man, tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. Like, I had a conversation with my friend, and my friend was helping me look for apartments, and she was just like, well, you can always do OnlyFans. And I'm like, really? I
love how that's the resort of our generation. So just, you can do an OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it was a joke, but I was just kind of like, you know, I kind of understand why some people have to do it to pay their rent. I mean, do what you need to do, you know. It's not part of my journey. But
yeah, I've definitely had the joke with my friends, like, I get why people have sugar daddies now. Like, when we get, like, the dumb DMs, and it's like, I see why. I'm not going to be it's not my journey, but, like, I get it now.
I love that that's the sentence now. It's not a part of my journey, but go off, you know?
Well, the last question for this half is, have you ever thought about just kind of picking one thing to focus in on?
No, because I would get bored. That's my biggest problem. I get bored of things really easily. For example, if I only had the podcast to do, I'd get sick of it, and then I'd be like, I don't want to do it anymore, and there wouldn't be as much, like, passion behind it as there is now. Same thing with, like, graphic design work. Love to do it, but if I just focused on that, I would be on my computer 24/7 just doing that. Acting, I love acting, I love auditioning. It is sometimes hard on the mental health, so having things that you can bounce between not only builds your toolkit, and it makes you a more versatile person, but it also allows me to dip my toes into everything and not get sick of one and the other. And I have a deeper appreciation for each one of them, because, like, each field has their own, like, qualities and, you know, and what's the word I'm looking for? Qualities, and they both have their, like, pitfalls. You know,
pitfalls.
Yeah,
they opposite.
Definite opposite.
So they're just, I don't know. I don't think I would ever focus on just one thing. And I had this interview, like, a while ago, and they were just like, what do you see for, like, your company, if you can call it that? Like, Anthony's Graphics went from Anthony's Graphics, which was a graphic design company, and became Anthony's Graphics Studios, which became a production company where we don't only just do a graphic designer illustrative work, but we also produce stuff, the podcast being one of the things we produce. So all of that together, I'm just kind of like Tori said it beautifully, there's power in versatility, and I 100% stand by that.
Need that on, like, a sticker.
Oh yeah, we love Tori. And so I'm like the biggest advocate for that. So maybe one day, you know, when I'm, like, really old and win the lottery, maybe I would, like, stop, you know, one of the things, you know,
or just pay someone else to do it.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, if I have the money for it, because one thing that people don't know, being a creative doesn't pay as much as you think it does.
No.
And people take advantage of that too. It's like, oh, you do everything? Let me pay you for one person's job.
Oh, sometimes I love to do it. I truly do. But sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, I'm doing way above my pay grade right now. Like, I'm doing I'm being paid crumbs, but at least it's building my portfolio and my resume. So you're just kind of like,
the only way you can look at it, because
way,
otherwise you have to be like, I need rent money.
Yeah. Thankfully, I still live with my parents. I don't know if that's thankful or just like the best out of the worst situation, right?
Yeah. Especially these day and age, it's like, who cares, you know?
Especially during the pandemic. I mean, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. My mom's like half joked, when are you moving out? And I'm just like, you can't afford rent either in Austin. No.
Yeah. No, it's
like
a
$275,000 house for like $450 right now. The inflation is ridiculous.
Stupid.
Holy crap.
It's
ridiculous.
Even here, like the house market is ridiculous. Like you'll find a house that was typically like $100,000, $200,000, and now they're like $400,000 or $500,000, and it's just like, and it's musty too. Like I don't understand why. Like, but you know, when I say that people pay me crumbs, I just need to go on record and say the people I work with, like the people that you guys know I work with, like Colleen and Lily.
Oh,
and
for sure.
People, they pay me nice, you know.
Oh,
but
they treat their people
the other
well.
people. Yeah. Colleen would be like the one that treats me the best. Like one night, I was basically, Colleen is the type of person who, if it's not like, if the deadline's not tomorrow, she won't think about it. You know what I mean? So like for merchandise, I need to get stuff rolling and you correlate with brand managers and stuff like that. And I remember, I think it was the second launch or something. She was like, oh, we have time. Like I want to release it like later. One night I'm driving home from my friend's house and I get a text and she's like, we need a collection like tomorrow. And I was like, Colleen. I was like, what is this? And she was super sweet, and you know, she responded like, it was like around Christmas time, I remember. Like I was watching a Christmas movie, and like I was just like designing stuff and sending stuff over, and I was like, do you like this? And she was just like, oh. And that night we found out like we had such an idea for like a cool tracksuit, and the company said like, yeah, you guys waited a little too long, so all we can do with tracksuits is black or gray. Aww. And it ended up being really cute. But I was so upset because I was just like, even the plan I had for this collection, gone. So we had to plan it all in one night. And the next morning, I got flower deliveries to my house. She was like, thank you for pulling an all-nighter for me. So she's the best and the worst. I love her so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's a great place to go into our game.
20 minutes later.
20 minutes
That's
later.
such a good sidebar, though. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So it's like F, Marry, Kill, but like star, create, and guess. Like, what would you want to like work on someone with? Work on something with someone. Create something in like the graphic design or like the marketing, branding kind of realm, or guess them on your podcast.
So like guess, create, or work?
Star.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first one is actually TikTok, but I try to pick TikTokers I think you'll know, but also that actually like put in the hustle behind it. So I think I can say her name, Sarah Ichiagre?
I love her. Yes.
Okay, so her, Anna X Sitar. Do you know who she is?
No.
She does the Starbees videos. Like the one.
Anna
X.
Sitar.
Yeah. I kind of pick someone. I have backups if you're not sure who they are.
I don't know who this is.
All right. Do you know Howdy Howdy Y'all One?
No.
Diana.
No.
I thought okay. Clearly,
this is great.
Okay, Youth Pastor Ryan's my backup. My last backup.
Pastor Ryan?
Youth Pastor Ryan. He's not a
Oh
youth
my
pastor
god.
at all.
I know who that is.
Okay. So him and then Ian and Chris.
I love Ian and Chris so much.
Okay, so of the three of them, Youth Pastor Ryan, Sarah, and then Ian and Chris, what would you star with, create with, and guest?
Oh my god, star with Sarah. Sarah's coming for people's neck in the acting industry, and she just got signed with, I think, yeah, she did get signed with yeah. And she's gonna start auditioning for things. I've heard of her that she started to audition for things. I've tried to get her on the podcast for the longest time, just never got a hold of her. But I would love to work with her on something. I think she's just such a fabulous actress, and even though it's like just TikTok, you can definitely see she has a good understanding of like emotion and stuff. So that for that. Eating Chris, like, I don't know, they're just like, I would want to have them as guests so bad, but if I could create something with them, oh my god, would love to. I just think they have like such a nice aura, and since we came out of the whole era of YouTube of like straight couples getting all like the love and the pranks and the whatever, to see like a gay couple living
so
comfortably,
finally.
Yeah, and they have like such good timing, and they're so funny, and they both work in that industry. I would love to create something with them, and I guess I would guess Pastor Ryan. I mean, I don't know what we would talk about, but I think I would rather work on stuff with Sarah and Chris and Ian, so that would be my answer.
Okay.
Nice.
Broadway round. Dear Evan Hansen, Six, and Wicked.
Oh, you cannot do that. Okay, kill Six. Kill Six.
Oh.
Wait, is it F, Mary, killed now?
No.
Like, I don't know.
No.
I was like, I'm gonna let Rachel run this one.
They've already all, the queens have already all died. Star, create, guest.
Oh.
So which Broadway show do you want to be in? Which do you want to like do some stuff on
okay.
social media for? Which would you want to talk to the cast of?
So you said Dear Evan Hansen, Wicked, and Six.
Six, the musical, yeah.
I would love to star in Dear Evan Hansen, of course. I right now it's my favorite Broadway musical. I took my boyfriend to the movie theater, and he has no idea what Dear Evan Hansen is, to be quite honest. His idea of a good movie is like Cruella. So like
Oh, no.
like
The
nothing,
shade.
like nothing
educate.
against him. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So like on our first like movie date, I was like, he was like, what movie you want to see? He's like, I want to see Cruella. And I was like, it doesn't seem that good. I was like, I'm gonna take you see In the Heights, and he loved In the Heights.
My
And
friends did
then hello, we'll be talking after this. And then and then then we saw Cruella, and I was like, what is this? But no, Dear Evan Hansen, the trailer popped up before the movie started, and he was sobbing, and I was like, that's what I've been telling you. Like, what? Like, you never listen. Like, what is this? So Dear Evan Hansen would want to star in. I love to work on Wicked, like Star too, to be quite honest. But like, I don't know. Like, Wicked is such like a female-led show, so I think like leave the women lead that show. But like, I'll do lights. I'll do the playbill design. You know what I mean? And then
there's Fiera.
Yeah, actually, I would work on Six, and I would have the people from Wicked as guests, just because Six is not my favorite musical. I think it's I definitely think it's great, but it's just not. I'm not drawn to it. So I think working on it, like behind the scenes, I would love to do it, because maybe I could get a deeper appreciation for it, and then I would love to interview the people from Wicked, just because, wow. And if I get the original cast, Kristen Chenoweth and Dina Menzel, like, yes, please kick me in the face. So that's where I'm at with that, you know.
Okay, music round. So who would you like to like do a song with, do like their branding or like their cover art for, and then who would you want to talk to? This is a hard one for sure. Shawn Mendes, Olivia Rodrigo, and then Abigail Barlow.
Oh my God.
The hard questions.
I'm not as familiar with Abigail as I wish I could be. I would love, honestly, would I love to sing with Olivia Rodrigo? Kind of sounds terrifying, to be quite honest. But
I mean, our prom last night, that was just something.
Oh my God, it was so good. I've been saying this. Her world tour should be a prom themed tour.
Oh my God, that would be insane.
Like, imagine like the giant balloon arches and stuff.
Everyone would look just like all dolled up, like just yes.
Yeah, and they could be like dressed as if you're going to prom. Oh my God, the concept that would be. The pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Olivia's branding is like perfect, to be quite honest. I would not touch it whatsoever. So I would love to would I have to talk to her or like collaborate with her? That's so hard. Honestly, both, but I'm gonna say collaborate with her on a song, because I think her voice is so pretty. And I did a cover of She Used to Be Mine from Waitress on top of Wondering
so good.
from High School Musical. Thank you. And I just thought our voices kind of matched pretty well together. So I would love to sing with her. I would love to work on Sean's branding, because Sean, he's entered a new era now. Like, he looks like a 90s boy. He cut his hair, thank God. He looks so good, and I think he's like entering a new era in his music where he's not trying to please anyone anymore, and I think he's just doing it for himself. So I would love to work on his branding. And also, we're both Canadians, you know what I mean? So we have that connection. I guess I would like to talk to Abigail just because I don't know that much about her. I would love to be more familiar with what she does and her work and all that stuff.
Yeah, her pop star moments, like the little like songs she drops, all amazing, all bops.
Oh, really? I need to go check them out.
Yeah, just every time she releases a new one, I'm just like, where is this song from like a year ago? Please release it. I can't keep listening to it on TikTok.
Please.
Okay, 2 more for this one. And so how familiar are you with Marvel?
Oh, very.
Okay.
Very.
So we got some old and some new stuff. So the new Spider-Man movie, What If, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ooh. I would love to be the new Spider-Man movie. Are you kidding? Oh my god. What if... I don't know if I'm going to like What If I'm going to be completely honest. I'm just like...
That's fair. I'm kind of actually the same.
But... Hold on. Ray is about to leave this call real quick. I don't. Okay, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What if? I'm actually very intrigued what they're gonna see with what they're gonna do with that. I was like honestly like skeptical of WandaVision. I was skeptical of Captain America and Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Spoilers.
He's Captain America now, but they're both like they were both some of the best TV shows I've ever watched in my entire life. Like Loki, not as much.
Really?
It's the pacing.
I love
for me.
Loki.
That's my phrase right now.
Really? I mean, I love Tom Hiddleston, and I think the show is very well made. But I'm mad confused. I have ADHD. I cannot watch this show without getting confused and pausing and going back. That's my issue with that show. But I guess I would star in Spider-Man for sure. I would work on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I would not want to get like too many spoilers from like What If and Spider-Man. If I worked behind the scenes, I would just like could get my foot in the Marvel door without spoiling the movies. And I think What If, I would love to like talk about What If, like because like I said, I don't know that much about it yet, and I don't know if I'm gonna love it yet. So I would love to hear the cast and the crew's vision and like what they want the show to be, so I can get a deeper appreciation for it. And I think I will love it, but I love how Marvel makes me doubt that I'm gonna like it, and then I watch it and I'm like, oh, this is good.
Like Captain America. I'm just like, is that gonna work? Like,
oh yeah, but that was like so good. I'm so sorry. And to the people mad that Captain America's black now, you had a white man for several years. Let us have something.
10 years,
literally.
I'm so happy with it. I'm so excited. I was like tearing up a little bit when they did the Disneyland and they brought him out with the actual actor.
They brought out
I was
the actor.
like, oh my god.
Come on,
There's like
Anthony
a little
Mackie.
boy was like, I'm like training now to be like him because I look at him, he's like me now, and I was like, I'm gonna cry.
The thing that got me too was seeing the official Captain America Twitter change their banner to Anthony Mackie. I was like,
that was crazy.
Oh my god.
But like, don't get me wrong. Love Chris Evans.
Oh, Chris Evans a gem.
Like, oh my gosh, that man, 10 out of 10. Acting wise, as that character is just so good. But I think it's fun that we get these new eras, and with the multiverse, you never know, he might come back. You know what I mean? Like,
you never know.
Right.
So I just think it's really cool, and at some point, like, give the man a break. He's been like carrying Captain America on his back for several years. Like, give him a little bit of a break. So
Absolutely.
I love
and
that
the money
Anthony's
he's
gonna
made
do
off
it.
of those movies, he's good.
Oh yeah, but
right.
yeah, I don't know. I just think Anthony Mackie's gonna do so much great with that, and with Chadwick Boseman sadly passing away, I thought we needed another black male leading his own franchise, because obviously with Black Panther, I don't think that's what we're gonna get. I think we might get like Shuri or something. Like I think it's gonna change a little bit. So I'm excited to see
She
what
was
he does
in the
with
comics
character.
though, so it makes sense like to just transition into that.
Yeah. I just wonder how they're gonna explain how T'Challa's gone.
I'm interested to see that, and especially because I'm wondering, because I know there's a lot of, I don't really know how this would work, but this is my Marvel pitch that no one's going to listen to, but I would imagine something like, if they are going to do like a multiverse thing, I feel like it could make sense for like Killmonger to come back as Black Panther, because I know people were talking about having Michael B. Jordan come back, and that would be kind of interesting to have him as a different, like as like a non-villain, like as the actual hero to come back as something like people are kind of skeptical about him because he's from the multiverse and like they know what they just had to deal with him trying to take over Wakanda. So I'm like, okay, that I feel like that would be like an interesting story beat to kind of deal with, but that's just
that'd be good. And that man is fine. So like yes, you know what I mean, like. So, like, I loved him in the original. Would love to see him come back. But I think he has, like, he was too close to Chadwick to, like, fill those shoes. Like, I don't know if he'll want to. Like I said, like, it's hard to, like, people are like, Black Panther, retire it, like, whatever. And I'm like, are you stupid? Like, I'm like, Chadwick Boseman.
Now more than ever.
Yeah, did not want this.
He wouldn't want that.
World to die. And I'm like, it's impossible to, like, please everyone and also whatever. So, like... I'm just like let them do whatever they want to do and like get approval from like maybe his family or something to do whatever they want to do with the franchise. But I'm like, don't kill Black Panther off of the MCU. I think it'd be so sad.
I feel like they're going to be doing good for what we have right now, because especially with like what the cast has been saying about Wakanda Forever coming out, and then the Disney and the Denai Guerrera Disney Plus show with her coming in. Like, I feel like they are going to do it justice in the sense that they're going to hopefully expand the universe and kind of give it a little more ground to kind of exist alongside everything, even without Chadwick Boseman. So I'm hoping that they pull that off. And I shouldn't say I'm hoping. They're going to. They're going to pull it off. There hasn't been a single thing that I haven't liked from them. So I'm very excited to see what they do.
I mean,
same. And then the last one for this round is going to be probably the toughest for you. Julie and the Phantoms, High School Musical, the musical, the series, and Love, Victor.
You try to get me fired. Try to get me canceled.
I feel like this isn't actually too bad though. Because which do you want to like be in? Which do you want to like work behind the scenes in? And then which do you want to talk to the rest of the cast and creative team of?
I would love to be on High School Musical, the musical, the series a lot. And I've never said this, but I've auditioned for season 2. Didn't get it.
Scoop.
God, yeah, Scoop. Thank God I didn't get it. Roman Banks was such a more obvious choice. This man is so talented, it makes me want to cry. But yeah, I auditioned for High School Musical, and I was so excited about possibly being on the show, even though I knew like the chances were very low.
Tim Federle,
and I would love to be on that show. What?
Season 3, Tim Federle, come on, right here.
Tim Federle, hello. My problem is that I'm 6'5", right? So when I'm like next to like people who are supposed to be high schoolers, I look like really tall. So I don't know. I would love to be on High School Musical for the reasons that are, when I had the cast members on the podcast, like we all left each episode being like, what's your Instagram? Like, let's keep in touch. Like, let's keep talking. Like, let's keep, and, you know, I'm working on something with Julia right now from the show. And like, Larry and I DM from time to time, like Frankie and Joe, like we like each other's comments and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, like we just have such good chemistry, I think. And I'm very intrigued to see how the show unfolds. Like, I don't think Olivia Rodrigo's coming back for season 3. I don't think. Depends on her contracts.
Here's my pitch for season 3.
Go ahead.
Follow EJ to college, and you're his roommate.
Honestly, yes. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like, I think the show is gonna I do think they're gonna be renewed for a 3rd season for sure. Because I think they make bank off of that show. With the merch and the music and all the things. But yeah, I think I would love to be on High School Musical the series. I just think like a show about theater kids with theater kids just sounds like such a blast. Right? And I would love to work on Julie and the Phantoms just because I've grown very close to like most of the cast. Like some of them we FaceTime like weekly now, and I'm supposed to meet up with Tori next month in Vancouver. So like I just think like we're there, you know what I mean? And I would love to be like, I told this to Tori, I was like, if anybody just needs an assistant for the 2nd season, if you guys have one, you know, I was just like, I would be so down. After being nominated for 13 Emmys, I think Netflix would be really stupid to like cancel it.
And they've won 3 so far.
They've won 3, and I'm manifesting Madison Reyes will win her category.
She deserves it. So does Cheyenne. He really deserves it for Caleb Covington.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I totally realized that while we were talking about this, I grabbed a random
this looks like curved shirt. No, it's funny because Madison and her dad, they called me once they found out that she was nominated for an Emmy And Ricardo was like, I need to call my wife. I'm like, her mom doesn't know yet, and you called me? Like, what's going on?
Priority.
So I was like, what's going on? I would love to work on Julian the Phantoms, like I said, as an assistant, production assistant, whatever. And I would love to talk for the people from Love Victor a little bit more, because I think their show is so good. I love Victor so much, and I've been loving talking to BB. Hopefully get more people from the show on the podcast. So I would just love to like talk to them. Like, I don't know, they just seem like a really cool bunch. Obviously I haven't gotten as many guests from that show as the other two, so I feel like I'm kind of biased, but no, I love all three shows, and that's a really hard question.
All right, cool. So we have just finished talking about so much different stuff, and it was great having the game. It was fantastic. I love that game. It was great. So going back into like the question part of our podcast, so with your content and everything that you've done, there, like, you've started off as like an admirer, like, and a fan, and then you've come up to becoming like creative partners with people that you like, that you looked up to. How is that, like, how does that happen? Like, how does that work for you? Like, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. I just think, and it comes back again to like the concept of the show. Like, when I started working for people that I admired for so long, like, of course, you kind of have to let go of the fan part of yourself, because then you're not going to be a good creative partner at all. You're going to take things too personally, and you're going to have a hard time separating the business relationship from the relationship that you've had watching them for all this time. So I guess how I deal with it is, first of all, I detach myself from the fact that they are more than myself. You know what I mean? Like, Colleen now just feels like a normal person to me, and you know, whenever like she likes people's tweets on Twitter, be like, oh my god, Colleen liked my tweet, I'm just like, yeah. Like, I don't know, like, to me it just sounds like so mundane. So I think I don't know how I really deal with it, except that, like I said, like, if people give me their time, I'm super grateful for it. If you give me your friendship, I'll cherish it, and that's definitely something that I've led my career with. It's kind of being like, oh my god, you've given me the time to prove myself that I can do this job for you. Now you're offering me your friendship and you're offering me a job. I will do right by you, and I will write for you so hard. So I guess that's how I kind of deal with it. It's just kind of like, I'm grateful for who they are and what they've brought me while I've been fans of them. But now that I work with them, I'm just kind of like, we're equal now. So like, let's create something dope together. And it's been amazing. Like, I don't know, like, Lily was a big one, Colleen was a big one, Abby Lee Miller was also a big one, Netflix also. But then at the end of the day, like, you know, it's industry people, so you know, they're amazing, and I'm so glad that I get to work with them. But like, once you detach them from like the expectation you have of them, of like who they are on the internet or on TV or film, once you separate those two, they're just like normal people. And honestly, it's not that hard to detach them. Like, especially Madison, like, yeah, she's like the star of her own Netflix show, but when you talk to her on FaceTime, like, she'll just start singing songs, like, you know, the one on the live stream she sang the other day, like, be who you are. She sings that on FaceTime constantly, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's very easy to like be like, okay, they're different, like, they're
real and they're grounded.
I mean? Like, yeah, for sure.
That's cool. Like, that's one thing, especially like living out in LA, and now that, you know, you have to, that's, you touched on it, just like, you have to separate that so quickly, because it'll turn into like a weird relationship, and it's like, you don't want that to happen, especially when you're trying to be professional with people, you know.
A lot of people like idealize like a version of them that they see online. They're like, that is who they are, that is entirely them. And then it's like, when you meet them, it's like, you have the idea of them, you don't know them though. Like, as much as you think you do, it's like completely different people sometimes.
And like, I can say, for example, I'll give you guys the gist of what I realized how they were on the internet or TV, and how I perceive them now. Colleen is the exact same person you see on the internet as she is in real life. She's a little less filtered in real life. Like, she's a lot more chill and mellow, because she's not entertaining you. You know what I mean? Like, she's not in a vlog or something like that. She's very close to who she is though on the internet. She's just like more mellow. Lily, night and day, still the same positive person that she is, but like, in a work setting, she's very, very calm and professional. I remember I was on a phone call with her, like, I think 2-3 weeks ago, and somebody started talking, and I was like, who is this? And she was like, Lily. And I was like, what? Like, you sound so mellow, like, you sound so relaxed. I was like, what's going on? people from Julie and like Julia is the exact same person you see on, you know what I mean? And then like Tori, the exact same person as well. I just feel like I gravitate towards people who are very authentic, and so, but they have their flaws and they have their,
they're real
you know,
people.
Exactly, like we all do.
Yeah.
That's one expectation I feel like we definitely have to, like, definitely throw out the window if we ever like meet with people that we like admire or want to create with, is like, we are all human. We all do stupid things that like we put, like, a persona is, the internet is a persona, you know, and so you shouldn't expect the same exact type of cadence and personality, I guess, even though like there are certain people, like you're saying, like Colleen, that like is very similar to her internet personality, but like, people forget that like humanity is a thing, you know. It's like, we hang out, we chill, like we're people, you know.
We say dumb stuff crazy sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, you have no idea when you talk to influencers, every time they say something like, oh, I would get canceled for that, and it's so sad, but like it's so like true. You don't have any margin of error. But and we're back.
And we're back.
Yeah,
we love it. So we talked about like being a fan, going to being a creator, and then or working with your creators,
collaborator
that you adore.
That's the word.
Collaborator.
That's the word.
Yeah. So I feel like there's obviously a lot of things that go into that, and how do you develop like your style, like your graphic design style, more specifically, like when it comes to creating like these brand, or like this brand content for people?
You know, I don't think I have a particular style. It all depends on like what I like in the moment, and I also really try to embody that person's style as well. For example, like Colleen is very millennial kind of style. Like she loves the millennial type of merchandise, and I'm a Gen Zer, so I'm an old Gen Zer, but I'm a Gen Zer. So
millennial.
I'm I'm like a cusper. No, 2000. That's pretty that's pretty Gen Z. But you know, I try to kind of just embody the branding of what the person would want. And you know, Madison is very, very Gen Z through and through. Like Urban Outfitters like threw up on her clothes. You know, that's kind of just like her aesthetic. So I don't know. I guess my style fluctuates with inspiration, and my inspiration are always what my client gives off. And for my own personal style, you know, it's funny. I don't know. I'm like on graphic design TikTok, and I see people like, I want to be this person, and it's like clean and white and neutrals. But I also want to be this person. It's like grungy and like bunch of fonts.
It's such a struggle to pick.
Yeah, and I'm definitely like between the two, and I think right now I'm gravitating towards like the grungy, not perfectness, because I think like there's beauty in something being imperfect. But I don't know. I just don't. I guess it's just like my life in general. I don't like latch on to one thing. I just kind of like fluctuate between multiple things, and it's cool because it gives me like an array of options to give whenever I have a new client. I'm like, this is all the things that I can do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's nice. I feel like the multi-hyphenate career actually blends into like your lifestyles. You know, it's like, oh, well, when it comes to being like graphic design, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to do it all. I don't want to stick to this one lane in this. I want to do everything. Or like, oh, I want to, when I do a podcast, it's like, oh, I don't want to just stick to like talking about one thing. We go on so many different directions, and it's great that you like, it's great. I feel like this isn't really, I shouldn't say it's unique to multi-hyphenates, but at the same time it kind of is, because when you put your career in that realm, you start to it just starts to bleed into everything, you know. And so it's you shouldn't really you shouldn't paint yourself in a corner for particular things, because it throws yourself off for like other opportunities. And it's great to you know, just always have that type of freedom to do different things.
Dip your toe into everything for sure.
Like being typecast as an actor, you know, it's like, okay, like, well, Michael Cera is always going to be that like weird, awkward, nice guy. It's like,
typecasting. Literally, that is a big topic. Even on the podcast, that like on my podcast, like typecasting is always a subject that we go back to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's always fun whenever I see one of my friends who's always typecasted into one role, and then they get a role that's so outside of that. I'm like, thank God. Like, yes, please. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'll never be like the boy next door, like kind of like leading man rom-com kind of guy, but like I'm always like auditioning for like the quirky neighbor who's like best friends with the main character and whatever. So like I don't know, now that I don't wear glasses, I've gotten auditions that are outside of my type, which is so stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could have taken my glasses off all this time, but I got laser eye surgery, and now
it's like the movies where the girl gets the makeup and takes
Yeah.
off her glasses and puts the dress on. It's like,
yeah,
different person.
I will say though, it does make you look like a different person as someone who used to have braces, glasses, and bangs. Totally different person. But it was totally peer pressure. I got the bangs rid of because someone made fun of me, and then I got them back. I got rid of them, and they were like, "Where's your bangs? You looked better with them." And I was like, "I just spent 4 months of my life because of you."
Yeah. No, I don't know what it is about it, but my agent, when he saw me without glasses, he's like, the opportunities that I have with your face now. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you were 6'5" and with glasses, like, you look like a total geek. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Contacts exist.
So,
like, just could have got contacts.
I know. No, my God. I honestly miss my glasses sometimes. Like, it adds like a sweetness.
Just a blue light just like gives you like the feeling back.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna
mine.
get some, to be quite honest with you.
I just need to wear them. That's the problem. I forget to wear them. As I take them back off right now because I need to clean them.
So like we just I love it. I love it too. So much.
Yeah.
So going off of like having like your own graphic design style, and I feel like being a multi-hyphenate gives you a lot of opportunities to not have creative blocks because you are doing different things. But when those do come up, like, how do you get over that?
Artist block, man. I just get out of the house, to be quite honest. And I'm so grateful for like my friends, because I'm a homebody like through and through.
Ooh, preach.
Yeah, if you like let me be for like a week, I will spend my entire time on the computer working on different things. Like, it's actually a problem, I think. Like,
yeah.
It's not even healthy. So like I have really good friends who are just like, oh, want to go to the restaurant tonight? And I'm just kind of like, I'm busy. They're like, yeah, you're busy going to the restaurant tonight, get your ass ready. And I'm like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? They're the best at that. And then sometimes just stepping away from it for a really long time is like what gets me through the art block, which sometimes like is hard because of deadlines, obviously. But it's just like, it could be very detrimental to my mental health to like dwell on something and not have any ideas, because then the self-doubt chimes in. Like, am I good enough for doing this? Should I have left this job for somebody else? Even the podcast, like sometimes when I get like 6 no's in a row, I'm just like, does it suck? Like, is it me? Like, you start to question everything about yourself, and then that gets harder, For sure.
I feel like that's super, like, it's interesting because I feel like we are worth, the time and effort that we put into our own projects. It's like, I feel like we shouldn't have to, per se, we shouldn't have to, like, I don't know. This is very interesting to talk about because we put out content for people, right? Not just like Strike a Spark, just like in general, And I feel like the biggest thing, like we were talking about, is like the imposter syndrome and like feeling like we're not good enough, and just like how dealing with rejection and all of that stuff. It feels like a mountain just kind of comes over you when that stuff starts to happen. And I feel like personally, it really is like a it's a mindset that you kind of have to like climb over. Like, you have to climb over that mountain, because it's always going to happen. Like you were talking about it earlier in the podcast about failure. It's like, it's very like, it's a part of life. It's like failure is when you fail and don't do anything else. Failure should be a learning experience. We should all, like, not just us, but just like for people listening to this, like, we should all take failure as something that is like, that's life. Like, you can date somebody, and it fails. You can go to school and you can drop out. So many different things can happen, but guess what? You still got to wake up the next day. You still got to go off, and you still got to do the things that you need to do, because this is life, and we should be fulfilling ourselves with what we want to do. And as many no's as you can get, one yes can change the world.
For sure.
And I feel like with just being, especially in creative positions, that yes can mean the world to a lot of people, because there are creatives out there that move out to LA and kind of like lose their way, or people that want to but are afraid, that like are discouraged by people around them, and it's like you keep hearing no's from the people you love and the people that you want to be with, and then all of a sudden you get that one yes, and it's like, man, it makes everything worth it. It makes everything worth it.
But that puts in perspective, what is the definition of failure, right? Because like, I think failure is failure is when you don't learn anything. you failed.
Yeah.
So like if you went into an audition room and you didn't get the part, did you learn anything from that experience? If so, you're a winner. You walk out a winner, because then that knowledge you'll bring to the next one. Same thing with a relationship. If that relationship doesn't work out and you learned a little bit about something about yourself or how you are in a relationship, then that is something that you can take with you. So I think it's like if you change your perspective of what we think is failure, then it becomes way easier to digest when we think we failed. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's you look at like, okay, how did this make me a better person? How did this make me grow as a human being? How did this make me more compassionate or nicer or kinder or more enriched? And if you take the time and just take a step back from a situation and be like, how did I grow from this? I think that's when you kind of go to that point where you're just like, oh, I didn't lose completely in this situation. You know, I did gain something from it. So I think that's
like sometimes the biggest thing is like, oh, sorry, totally cut you off there.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was done.
Oh, okay. No, and also like another thing is sometimes like you gotta know, and it like it's not the end of the world. Sometimes it just gives you the fire you need to like push forward. Like sometimes it's out of spite is some of the best success you can have. And it's like you just got to look at it like you have to like try and learn from everything, but if you can't take anything away, just don't sit and mope. At least use it to like fuel the fire to be like, well, I am going to succeed in this.
Right.
Like that's
right. Definitely.
One thing that I have been parroting for the past month is something that Justin James Hughes, I was talking to you guys about earlier. He put on Instagram that art doesn't require you to be anything more than just being an artist. You know, you can start on a project 5 years ago, like in 5 years, and then 5 years later, it's done. You know, there's that reminds me of on Jason Mraz's last album, or not the last one that came out, but the one before that. There's a song called "Sleeping to Dream." Like that song, if you go on the internet, that song he wrote that in 2001, and it came out in 2019 on his last album. You know, so it's like you just do it, you know. That's all you got to do,
right?
Because there's no restrictions besides the ones that you put on yourself, and those are the biggest ones that you have to jump over.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
Totally, just like you got to just work through those, because it can be something beautiful that you're sharing with somebody that could have really needed that in that moment. So
for sure, absolutely. Come on, water. Get your hydration.
Yeah.
I am just like, I had to drink like nothing yesterday. Now I'm like paying for it. I'm just like,
no, you're good.
You need to stay hydrated.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I feel. I was gonna say I feel like we talked about the rejection a little bit, which is gonna be the next question. So what was the? I feel like you had more insight on the next question for the dream acting jobs, Rachel. So you can go ahead and take.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, so with like wanting to get into acting and everything, and now like the potential of the typecast stuff kind of maybe drifting away a little bit more. Like, what is like your dream type of project? Is like movies, shows, comedies, musicals, murder mysteries? Like, what you thinking?
That's a really interesting question. I feel like as I'm growing up and auditioning for more things, I feel like I don't have as many dream projects. I'm kind of like, just give me anything. Obviously, I would love to be in a Marvel movie. I just think, like, pop culture impact, I just think nothing competes with it in some way. And some people can say, like, Star Wars or, like, Harry Potter, sure, amazing, like amazing, but like Star Wars didn't have a whole like series of comic books before the movies. It didn't have like the impact that it had over the years. Like, I think it's a very unique thing. So I would love to be in a Marvel project. Like, heck, I'd be an extra and I'd be like, I'm an MCU character. Yeah, like literally. So I would love to be in something like that. Honestly, I really love sitcom work. I love sitcoms. I think there's a breath of fresh air and likeness to sitcoms. And I know like it's a big back and forth and people if we're allowed to like this particular sitcom, but I'm a big fan of Friends, even though like I know people are saying that it's not as diverse as it could have been. I had this conversation with Taylor on the podcast where he said Friends had a reason to exist because the characters were written as spoiled, you know, girls from the Upper East Side and like an Italian from, you know, New Jersey. And, you know, it makes sense. And what Taylor said at the time that I thought was really interesting, he said there doesn't need to be less of, there just needs to be more of. You know what I mean? Like, there doesn't need to be less shows led by white people. There just needs to be more shows led by black people too, to balance everything out.
Exactly.
And so I would love to be in a sitcom like Friends, like Marvel movies. I'm also like very much into like indie films a little bit more. Like Call Me by Your Name was an indie film, and I just love how the way it's shot, and I love that the music doesn't serve the purpose of the show. Like the entire emotion is completely conveyed by the actor. Like the music doesn't add to it at all. It's like dead silent. You can hear the cracking of like the chair or whatever. I love that. And I've been a big fan of like Beautiful Boy with Steve Carell and Timothée Chalamet, which is an independent film that Amazon Prime got. Love that movie as well. So I would love to be like in like psychological, like coming of age, like I don't know, like very deep and like melancholic movies and stuff like that. Like I also think like indie films have a lot more creative freedom, and I think it's where directors and actors get to have the most fun in how they decide to shoot the movie, and I think they give the most unique outcome. So Marvel, sitcoms, and like indie films, which could not be on the more opposite side of the spectrum, but I think they all have their like fun to it, I guess.
Yeah, that's really.
I feel like A24. That's what came to mind as soon as you were talking about the melancholy stuff. I was like, A24. That's the one. Oh my gosh!
I need to watch
everything
that
they put out. Oh my gosh! Oh, that's a production company.
Yeah.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, they do. Well,
they do.
They're looking for a lot right now.
Yeah, like they did The Lobster. They did Killing of a Sacred Deer. They did what was that other one that? Oh, It Comes at Night. They've done so many different things that are super melancholy, like really like real but also surreal. Like it's I feel like you would perfectly fit in that if that's the type of stuff that you're going to go for. You should definitely. I can give you a list of movies that you can watch because like they are so good.
Please. I'm also like Euphoria. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
I think Euphoria is A24 now that I think about it.
Because when you said that, like melancholic, almost like surreal, I was like, that's so Euphoria. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, if y'all have any,
if y'all
got any ideas,
our minds, dude. Our minds.
Hey,
yes.
Y'all got any like ideas for originals? Like, there's one of the websites we've been pitching through for our show. A24 was like one of their people was on there being like, we're looking. Like,
oh my god, no! I would love, like, one of my dreams is to write something. Like, I would love to write something.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah,
like
it's just,
I literally it was a joke
fun.
Because of a meme, and then I wrote a murder mystery diverse ensemble cast like limited series, and I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm trying to sell this now.
Yeah.
So
literally,
but it's been so like much of a learning process and so much fun, and now it's like they're like, okay, got to start attaching people to it to maybe try and sell it in a different route, and I'm like, okay, well this will be interesting. Okay, so we took one more little sidebar, but we are back. We are back, and here to wrap up this episode, which has been the most fun of like all the episodes, I believe. So the way we end our podcast is because music is just such a big part of like every creative's life, I feel like. So we always kind of go around and are like, what is the song that would describe your life right now? What would be playing in the movie of your life?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think a song that like would embody my life completely, but I do have a playlist on Spotify called Main Character, which is definitely like a playlist. Yeah, it's definitely like a playlist of like the score, I guess, of my life. Let me go on there and see if there's like a song that stands out from the crowd of like what I would use. Honestly, Hope You're Okay by Olivia Rodrigo is a song that I've been like really like felt like seen by that song a little bit. I love Angels Like You by Miley Cyrus would also be a really good one. Honestly, this is going to be super full circle to what we talked about during the podcast. Waving Through a Window from Dear Evan Hansen.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I love that song. So good.
Just the lyrics, like, you know, if you're lost in a forest and, you know, no one can hear a sound, do you ever really crash? Or, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's like if you're in a crowd of people, you know what I mean? Like, if you crumble down, what people really, I just think that's like so, I love. Ben Platt's version, Roman Banks' version, Andrew Feldman's version, like just yes, please.
My friend introduced me to Dear Evan Hansen years ago, and that was the song that like brought me to tears. Because there's, to get really personal, back in 2017, right before I moved out to LA, like I was like really depressed, and I started getting on antidepressants for the first time, and my like literally maybe like a month or so before I started taking them, my friend introduced me to that song. And then I started taking them, and like all of a sudden, like my body chemistry was like changing, like with like my brain and like how I process emotions. And I worked at a music school, and we had a talent show that one day, like maybe like the week before I left to LA. And one of the instructors sang that song, and I bawled like a baby. It was like, oh my gosh, this makes me feel seen that this type of song like exists. You know, I was just holy crap.
The one that got me from that show is also "You Will Be Found." Like,
yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Whoa, I was sobbing by then.
Yeah, and like I don't think I'm ready for the movie, to be quite honest with you. I just don't think psychologically I'll be ready for what's about to happen. And I know there's like a whole there's a whole lot of like controversy about that movie because like Ben Platt started in it, even though he's in his 30s and whatever. But I just love his intention of saying I wanted to immortalize my performance as the character in the movie. I still would have maybe liked for him to produce it and like Andrew Feldman like star in it, but that's like a whole other conversation.
Oh no, I agree.
But like if like Ben Platt singing, sign me up. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, and the cast is just so incredible. Like Amanda Sandberg, I think is her name.
Steinberg, something like that.
Stanberg, I think. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's a song that has been back and forth in my life that is kind of propped up maybe like a year or two ago, and it's by Kyle. It's called Ups and Downs, and it's the song just about like starting off low and not really like knowing what you're doing, and then you kind of have something that reinvigorates your spark, and then you kind of start to feel validated, and life has ups and downs. It's literally what the song's called. But specifically the Spotify version, which is more low key and mellow. It's really nice. It's just it's a very personal song for him, and I kind of understand where he's coming from, and just like with his mental struggle and life and how he has gone through it, and just like me personally, like I just talked about, like having to deal with depression and talking, or like, and just kind of working through that, and now being like the best mentally I feel like I've been since I moved out in LA. Like having ups and downs are such a very, very like it's real, you know. It's like you can't expect yourself to be happy all of the time, and it's like going to the gym. Like I remember me and Rachel actually did like another smaller like podcast, and we talked with is Joya the course director, assistant course director?
I think it's course director now. Yeah.
Okay. She had mentioned she's the course director for our program.
Okay.
And she had talked about like it's like mental, like it's like brushing your teeth for your brain. You know, it's like being able to just like make sure that your mind is always in the right set, because if you don't brush your teeth every day, your teeth are gonna smell bad. Your breath is gonna be, no one wants to be around you. It's like, but if you brush your brain, you know, brush your brain's teeth, you're gonna be able to, you know, be around people. You're gonna have like a better, more approachable mood. You're going to just like, it just changes everything for you. And so sorry to ramble, but yeah, mental health very important.
Oh, yeah. So much sense, and I think like with mental health getting more normalized now, I think it's like so
absolutely.
nice.
It's about time.
Like, people shouldn't be afraid to go for it.
Even on the podcast, every time I ask like how are we doing, they're always like, huh, nobody really asks that, and I'm like, yeah, we need to. I think so. Yeah. Like even my shirt, like it says, make sure your friends are okay.
Oh, I've been dying to get one of those.
I love that.
I love that message so much.
No, I remember when I first got diagnosed with anxiety back in high school, I had to go like see like someone to talk about it, and I was like so afraid to tell anyone. And then I went to the sign out sheet, and it was just psychiatrist, like going to therapy, and I was like, what? I was just like such in shock, because it was like all of the popular kids, and then like some of my friends, and I was like, I had no idea that we were all kind of going through this. Like it was just still taboo even like 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm just like so glad the conversation's now like, okay, but are you okay? Like, like seriously.
I mean, having a therapist and stuff like that, I still think now, I don't understand why people have a stigma. I'm like, you check up on your body, you check up on your teeth, you check up on your eyes, you check up on everything. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you check up on your brain from time to time? Just make sure you're all in check. And sometimes even like in therapy, I'm just like, I have nothing to talk about. We talk about other things, and the hour passes, and it's just like, oh, I just talked about stuff that I haven't talked about in a while, and it just, I don't know. I just think it's so important to normalize it now more than ever, because some people at home, their parents aren't normalizing it, so if they hear people on the internet constantly normalize it and it's normal, I mean, you know, that might change that mentality for sure.
Absolutely.
And then I'll round out with my song. I was like struggling to think about this, because like last podcast episode I said Something Big by Shawn Mendes, because like it's out of my control, all the stuff right now. It's a lot of waiting games. Maybe This Is What We Live For by American Authors, because it's like we're taking off, like things are starting to pick up. We'll see what happens. Plus American Authors just solid.
I love that.
I think that's what I would go with.
I need to look for my song. Like I feel like that's not a goal that I have in life, is looking for my life song. I have so many songs on my playlist. If I had to make a movie about my life, I know when that song would play. You know what I mean? But
I have a playlist called The Playlist of My Life, and it's songs that have like significant like resonance to like certain moments, or like songs that just play to death to the point where they are like a part of like I think that time period I'm like that song was on repeat,
right?
And it's 29 hours long at this point, because it's
Dang.
just been like it's like 29 hours for 21 years. So it's like so many songs.
That makes
but like
sense.
so if I ever do get like a documentary or something about me, I'm just gonna be like, here's the playlist, pick the songs. Like
literally.
I was gonna say, if they're gonna have to go through 29 hours of confirming with like
it's
studios,
so
and like
funny. It's so funny, the juxtaposition on that list. It goes from like the darkness, like the like hard rock band, to like musical theater and Disney, and then like to like singer songwriter. It's just all over the place, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that rounds out the whole episode. This has been, like we've said it multiple times, this has been such a good, fun episode, and I feel like we've got so much just for both of us. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so
Oh
much.
my god, I had the best time.
Man, this is a great episode, and I can't wait for this to come up. Where can people find you, Anthony?
People can find me on YouTube at Sunset Drive Podcast. I have my own personal YouTube, but it's not really active right now. You can find me on Twitter at capital I Anthony Smith, capital I, and then on Instagram you can find me on Anthony's Graphics or Sunset Drive Pod. You can find me on, I'm working on some pilots in the next couple of months, so hopefully like 2 years from now you can catch me on like your TV.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
And that's what I have going on right now. A lot of nice things, and the world is starting to move again, and so am I guess. So lots of good things.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you so much. And for our listeners out there, we hope you guys had a good, or listeners and viewers, because this is a video podcast as I stare right into my camera.
Yeah, literally.
We hope you guys had a good time listening to this, and this has been Strike a Spark. I almost said I'm Rachel. I'm Ray.
I am Rachel.
And I have Rachel with me.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is Strike a Spark, and we hope to strike that spark in your creative journey. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Yay.
Bye,
Woo! Yes, and that's a wrap, baby.